Okay, welcome to West Larrick. It's the Westcountry Rivers Trust token beat. We're after grayling today. We're early October. I've just got my standard trout fishing tackle. I'm using an 8-foot rod. It's 3-weight. I've got it set up New Zealand style, so a dry fly hanging a nymph underneath. The nymphs that I'm using are nothing sort of deviating from my trout ones. So pheasant tails, hare's ear, some stoneflies, caddis, dry flies. I've got clinkhammers, balloon caddis, all your standard sort of small river flies. Nylon, between 5 and 3 pounds. Make sure you've got a net. Hooks want to be barbless. That's all you need. Let's go and see if we can catch some grayling. Okay, right, I'm going to make my way up through this pool. It's a really deep pool on the right bank, and the sun keeps going behind the clouds, which is good, but when it does come out, it's right behind my back, so I'm keeping a low profile to the river. Really tempting to sort of work up this pool, that's better, quickly. But we don't want to do that. I'm nice and steady. It's a trout. We're after grayling now. The trout season's finished by a couple of days. Absolutely stunning fish, beautiful markings on them. Oh, another trout, I think. Better trout, but not what we're after. You know, there are some very good trout in the Inny. Absolutely stunning fish. Beautiful looking. Look at the colours on that. Absolutely glorious colours. The markings on its fins are fantastic. There you go, my friend. I always think it takes you sort of half an hour to quicken yourself up. Yeah, that's a grayling. Or is it? It might be a peel. I wish that was a grayling. Definitely not a grayling. Well, welcome back to West Larrick. We've come a bit later on. As our first visit, we couldn't get through the trout, and as they were out of season, we thought we'd best leave them alone. So it's a little bit later in the year now. Nice water conditions, a lot clearer than the last time. We're at the bottom of the beat, so the beginning of the beat. We've got a nice little stile here to get in, and this first little pot here, you can actually walk down to the beat sign and fish up through here, and then we've got several hundred yards of fishing through sort of glide sections, riffly bits. There's a lovely big corner pool up. It's a bit hard to film because you have to be in the river, so we're not going to film this first section today. We'll go up a little bit further where it's easier to film, but this is where you start. Get in the river, as long as it's clear and you can see the bottom. Don't come down if the river's a little bit coloured and get in, because this is quite deep here, especially this bit here. We're sort of, with another foot on here, you'll be into 4 foot of water straight away. So make sure you can see the bottom, get in the river and fish your way up. If you're not walking up through the river and you come up through the gates, or on your return back down the river and you use the gates, just be sure to shut them again. If you leave gates open, it jeopardises Westcountry Rivers Trust being able to have these beats. So it's a must. If you can remember to shut the gates, it'd be fantastic. Film. Now this pool's nice and deep. There's a stile here, but when it's low and very clear, if you get over the stile here and get down, there's always a lot of fish in the back end of it, up through, so you spook them getting over the stile, so it's much better to wade up the river to get here. There is a bit of a deep pot below, so only do it if you can see what you're doing water-wise. But I'm not going to fish up through here, it's quite difficult to film, so I'll make our way up to the next pool glide section and film that and see if we can get a grayling. Now, I'm fishing a heavy tungsten nymph here with a 3mm bead, which isn't the prettiest thing to cast, but it gets down nicely. The easiest way, if you're not used to fishing these small streams for grayling, and not many people fish a single nymph, fishing New Zealand style, if you get a little bit of yarn and watch the yarn, really bright yarn, and use that as a strike indicator, it makes things a lot easier. You've got to wade up through here to fish the next pool above, because if you enter it in from the side on low water, right where the fish lie, you'll be getting in and spooking them off. We fished the back of this pool here, we've seen a few salmon in there, so we've avoided it. So I've come back across, avoiding the tail of the pool where they might be cutting their red. This is a very good pool though, it's quite difficult to fish. On the slack water in here, it's quite good for the grayling. There's a big pile of leaves in there and you can always find a few grayling milling around these leaves. So just take your time in this pool, fish it nice and steady. Like I said, not going to fish it, so we're going to move on to the next section. There's quite a bit of this type of water on this beat. You know, it's not very deep, sort of 18 inches to 2 foot on the other side, with a few pots of sort of 3 foot. But excellent water, really, really nice fishy water. I'd normally be a little bit further out, but today, because of the salmon that we've seen, and late in the season with sea trout spawning, there's some quite nice water down there where they could spawn, so we're just staying on the edge of this slack water here, which is making the fishing a little bit awkward. We can fish a little bit further up on this stretch, but not a lot. We've got another lovely riffly section a little bit further up, and then we're into another quite a big pool glide section. So we'll make our way up river and see what we can find. We're now up into the last sort of big pool, if you like, on the river. Some nice water above here, but it's a little bit more riffly and shallow, well worth fishing. But this is a great pool, especially for grayling when the temperature's got a bit lower. So it's got a nice bit of depth in there. Nice easy casting, it's been trimmed out well. Some big rocks in the back of here, which makes wading a touch tricky. Not what we're after. Let's get you back in. There you go, Mr. Trout. A week or so before we did our first little bit of filming, just a couple hundred yards upstream on our club water, I think I had 9 grayling in one morning, which, yeah, that's good for down here. Any more than sort of 3 or 4 grayling, you're doing really well. But I was just in the right place at the right time. We seem to have been a bit unsuccessful. I think in my eyes the Inny is one of the prettiest streams in the southwest. It's so clear, it's got such a broad spectrum of fishing. You know, to have the grayling in our local rivers around here is a real treat. It's a lovely little sandy bit, tight into the bank over there, and right on the edge of it is normally a good little spot. Right, we're going to fish the next little run up through. It's not very deep, but it's a good little run up through, and then above that we've mostly got riffles with a few little depressions in, which is worth fishing, especially with a bit of water in it like we've got now. So we'll go up through there, and then that'll be our last spot where we fish today. So if we go up there and see what we can do. Alright, so we're in the next section here. It's a real nice little glide coming down through here. Nice bit of depth in some of it. Just going to fish up through with a single nymph. You know, even on days like this when the fishing's really tough, not a lot's happening, it's so nice just to be down here. And the colours of the dying off gorse, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I think you've got to take these days when it's a bit slow fishing, it's almost like a form of meditation. I can feel all me sort of troubles and woes just seeping out while I'm fishing away. One of the biggest grayling I've seen come out of the tamer system was probably a quarter of a mile from here, caught by a friend of mine called John Barnard. An absolute monster. He came down and fished last year down here. Me and John did with his son, and I think we had about 10 grayling between us. But you know, they will migrate throughout the river. Grayling will. We've had a great morning at West Larrick. It's really pretty this time of the year in the autumn. We haven't managed to get a grayling in the net, but it's been brilliant. So come on down, we're open here till the end of October. It's a real pretty place to fish, nice easy access, a little bit of a walk down to the beat, but once you're down here it's really easy fishing. Thanks for watching.